Okay, everybody, welcome back to Daf Discussions, Shabbos, Daf, Kuf Yud Zayin Amar Aleph. I know it was very hard for everyone. We were out the past month and a half, so due to many requests, we are going to give another shiur today. The Gemara, we're going to be discussing the inyan of Chatzi Shiur, how it applies to Hilchos Shabbos, and if it applies to Hilchos Shabbos. The inyan of Chatzi Shiur also muttar. The Gemara brought down a Mishnah in Pesachim, L'gabe, if Pesach falls out on Shabbos, if you're allowed to do meleches of hefshit on the carbon Pesach, we're not getting involved in the entire sugya. We're just going to go to the end of the sugya on Kuf Yud Zayin or Aleph. The Gemara was discussing why is it muttar to do hefshit on a carbon Pesach on Shabbos. However, the cheshbon, how it came into the sugya, the Gemara says, "Kigoyin delay kabayilei la'ar." It's talking about what he does since you don't need the ar for the carbon Pesach. Therefore, it's a davar she'ein miskaven. For the Gemara of Abai v'Rava Damar Tarvayu. So it's a psik reisha. I don't care if you don't need it. You don't want it. At the end of the day, you're doing hefshit, and it's a psik reisha. You can't say that it's not hefshit's not going to happen. So what do I care if he needs it or not? And if the Gemara the shokale bebarzi, he's taking it off with a barzi. Now Rashi explains what that means. B'chaticha is dako is mafshit and chaytech. Dein derech hafshot bekach v'lav malachu el shvus. Rashi says it's only a shvus, therefore it's muttar. So although be'etzim we pass on psik reisha is assur. But here it's talking about where you're doing a small shiurim. Now Tosfos doesn't like that. Tosfos says the kasha. If it's going to say it's issa derabbanan, the havli the misni b'psachim peragel varm hefshet the dochi shabbos v'hadi hanu shvus. It should have mentioned this is one of the shvusim that's deichos. Different Tosfos says different shot. How does he learn chocolate b'barzi v'nirlery? The leka afilu shvus. There's no issa derabbanan. The eidem mafshet kishir chashivus or yachad. He's not doing the shear of or. Beloy dami the mapis morsa. It's not similar to mapis morsa. The hasam pesach kavid. Afshein tzarchul v'chein tzad mazik and komakim tzadhu. Avloch the lake of the hefshit afilu shvus like. There is no shvus at all. Now the Malei Haroim in the back, he asks him, "Where's kasha on Tosfos?" Tosfos says, "Since there's no shear, there's no shvus." In fact, the Malei Haroim, what do you mean? Chatzi Shiur also muttar. What kind of svara is that? Very good. There's no shear, but it's still assur. It's a Chatzi Shiur. El my Tosfos means, let's say, if there's no shear, Chatzi Shiur maybe it's only the rabbanon. So. But that's also shred because, like Rav Yitzchok says, also muttar. You shouldn't be going in shidduch or shlokish v'oid. Tosfos is clearly saying it's not a derabbanan. He didn't like Rashi's shot. Rashi learns the Gemara's derabbanan. Tosfos says there's no problem at all. So now this kasha was asked by many acharonim. The Yeshuos Malko, he sent this shaila to his son-in-law, the Nefesh Chaya, which is printed in Nefesh Chaya Yeridei Siman Yud Beis. And this kasha is also asked by the Aderes, which is printed in the Sefer Mishlenos Yisroel Siman Daled. That Aderes, he wanted to prove from Tosfos that there's no din of Chatzi Shiur muttar by meleches Shabbos, which happens to be a tremendous Machlokes acharonim and Rishonim. We don't have time to go into this right now, maybe in a different time. We'll just mention Rashi on Daf Ayin Daled Amar Aleph. He says clearly, it's almost mefurish Rashi. And Hiduchi of Chadis Leko Asuri Meiko the Kaim lechatchilah Shiur muttar. Rashi is very much what does apply to meleches Shabbos. The Tzvi is very famous. He has a tshuva that Chatzi Shiur muttar applies only to lechatchilah, not to other yisurim. So Aderes wanted to say from this Tosfos you have a right to the Tzvi that there's no Chatzi Shiur because it's not assur memelo. There's no problem with Chatzi Shiur at all. As if the Tzvi holds, there never is Chatzi Shiur. Now the truth is that Tosfos a lot of acharonim Girai is very mashma like this sheet of the Tzvi. Tosfos in Bei Perek Daled Halacha Gimel Hakoyis V'Is Achas V'Im Kesvei Hadid B'Shabbos Chayiv Chatas Tanakam Reblaz V'Chomem Bei B'Shabbos V'Im Yomtiv Ein Chayiv El Mishum Shvus that it's only the Rabbanon. So I mean, you could say maybe it's going shitz or shlogish Chatzi Shiur is not assur muttar. But Pasha state clear that there's no issue deraisa by meleches machshavos. Now the way to get out of this is based on the Magen Avos or Motcha Benet. He has a big tshuva to emphasize kasha and Daf Ayin Dalet or somewhere Ayin Gimel Amar Aleph. Tosfos Ha'isa shtei batinir Tosfos tzarich lefarish loma pirish kanu v'irguv b'tzeah v'toiver v'kaiser Shiur tfei. Shiur tfei. There's a certain shiurim shnei batinir and shtei oisias. Tosfos wants to know why only certain meleches got the status of mentioning the shear in the Mishnah. So Motcha Benet, it's a famous shtickle. He says those which are mentioned, that if you only do half, it's not going to be even a Chatzi Shiur, it's a Chatzi Melacha. Now we're saying the Rashi Prakim over here, so but we're not getting into the depth. You could check the Mechas talks about it. You can check that Goyis B'Shuli Amincha on Mechas Chinuch, the bigger Richas of all the acharonim. Upon him that there is one of the shpar from Tosfos the Chatzi Shiur is muttar muttar. So on this Sefer Mishlenos Yisroel, the Sefer from Yisroel Dushovitz, I have no idea who he is, but he writes back to that Aderes. He says Tosfos is right, Mamish not like that because Adrab, Tosfos didn't like Rashi's pshat. Rashi learned this as the Rabbanon. Now we said that even if you say like there's no Chatzi Shiur, we said in Tosfos, but the Rabbanon is just the Rabbanon. So Tosfos is learning no Rabbanon. I feel this. What's going on? What's pshat in Tosfos? Why is it no Rabbanon from Chatzi Shiur? So the Nefesh Chaya over there in Siman Yud Beis, he wanted to answer that it depends. Chatzi Shiur is Chatzi Shiur, so it depends how you do the hefshit. If you do a little hefshit, you say Chatzi Shiur, I can do a little more. But instead, if you do like a timtza where he said a barzi, he has a hara. Why did the Mar say shokalei bebarzi? He should have said b'chatichas dakos. He said a barzi was a certain type of kli which used to cut it and be mafshir at the same time. So there's no chazil l'sterufe because you say, or let's say you cut it first. Could be they cut into small shiurim. So there's no chazil l'sterufe because b'shas the hefshit itself, it's already chopped into small pieces. Or al kaponim, it's bon ka'achas. I'm doing a small piece and I'm chopping it off. So instead I'm chopping it off, you can't. It's impossible to continue that. So there's no chazil l'sterufe. B'meila there'll be no problem with Chatzi Shiur. As we stated in Nefesh Chaya, now it'll depend on the svar of chazil l'sterufe in Chatzi Shiur. Ayin Shom in the tshuva of the Nefesh Chaya, like we said, it's written to his shver, the Yeshuos Malko. But the emes is the Mishlenos Yisroel. He says such a murdik, a gevaldik, a hafaldik, a pshat and Tosfos that there's really no mokum to even say otherwise. Once you hear his pshat, it's just so emes. There's nothing else to say. Tosfos, if you look, he's medayik like this. Read Tosfos. He says any mafis shir v'loy domi lemafis mursa. It's no shir, and it's not similar to mafis mursa. Doesn't pesach kavid. Frek there. Where does Mafis Mursa come into the picture? There's no shear, so it's not diamond to anything. Why are you bringing Mafis Mursa? And so, what shaykh is to anything? He says Givaldi. He says there's a big Machlokes Rishonim Vaacharonim if it's muttar assur. If Shimon's moide, if psikresha, what if it's lechatchilah? So if you look in the Rosh, he says in Parak Yud Beis, I believe, the Aruch Boraya from this Gemara to his shita psikresha lechatchilah is muttar because shaklei bebarze is up there. Shteit it's muttar. Why? Because it's a psikresha. Because he learns the word is psikresha, the lechatchilah, and it's going to be that's only the Gemara's tarot. Shaklei bebarze. He thinks psikresha lechatchilah is going to be muttar. So the Rosh there disagrees. Ayin Sham. So he's saying Tosfos is, if you remember that, Tosfos is trying to say like this: Avad ma'amasim to the Aruch that psikresha lechatchilah is muttar, but in a matziv of when there's no shear, then he's masim to the Aruch. The leka afilu shvus the edim mafshik shir chshivus or yachad the loy domi lemapis mursa. That's the best of it. When there's no shear at all, then psikresha lechatchilah I'll agree to the Aruch. When there's it, but it's not domi to mafis mursa, which is the case of psikresha lechatchilah. There avad it's assur. So if it's mamish murdig into Tosfos, what he's saying now, the lumdis, I'm not so sure exactly what the svara is. He doesn't really explain his lumdis so well. He just says that, I mean, what's the svara? If psikresha lechatchilah is assur, so the lechatchilah is muttar, so it should be also psikresha lechatchilah. So I'm thinking of a bad svara. I don't think it either makes sense or doesn't make sense. I'm not sure. So you could let me know what you guys think. The svara will be as follows: Rav Yisroel the guy eats a piece of sponge cake, half a kazayas of sponge cake. And the fact, for some reason, it'll be that if you eat a full kazayas of sponge cake, anytime you eat a kazayas of sponge cake, you have to eat a piece of chaza with it also. That's the way it works. That's the way sponge cake is. You put a piece of sponge cake in your mouth, all of a sudden a chaza piles in. So are you going to tell me, if you eat half a piece of sponge cake, it's a Chatzi Shiur osman atayra, because if I eat a full shear, I'm going to eat chaza. You tell me, because right now I'm eating nothing. So I'll say the same thing. We're going to have better Dovashenim Miskavin's muttar. Norvos. Psikresha, if it's a psikresha, even if it's lechatchilah, I'll tell you it's assur because you can't tell me it's Dovashenim Miskavin. But that's only if I'm actually doing the shear. I'm doing the psikresha here. I'm only doing a Chatzi Shiur. And right now there's no assur. It's nothing. It's Dovashenim Miskavin. It's psikresha. What do I care? There's no assur. So like we said, it's Dovashenim Miskavin. So you can't tell me, but it's going to be chazil. If you do the whole thing, then it'll be an assur of psikresha. No, now I didn't do it yet. So now it's a Chatzi Shiur. So even though right now in the Chatzi Shiur it's a psikresha, but it's getting minishton because it's still we have the Torah of Dovashenim Miskavin. So I'm not sure if it's a good svar or not. Originally I didn't like it. Now I do like it. The svar is a little bit like a cheer. The longer you sit in it, the hotter it gets, in my opinion. I'll just like to end with a halacha in Shulchan Aruch, which has shaykhs to this. Stay in Shulchan Aruch, it's in Mishin Chavav. If the guy goes in Shusharam with water, even if it's a Shir Shusharam, it's not a problem. Now the Shal is what's pshat. So the Beis Yosef explains because it's pachas mikashir. So the Rav Yisroel Elchanan and Rav Yitzchok in Siman Yud Beis, I think it's Siman Tazvav actually, Anav Vov or Anav Hey, he asks the Chayra Chadish Osman Aderes, why let I walk outside with a pachas mikashir? As if Rav Yitzchok's there, it's really different. It's like a Rav Yitzchok. Upon the Fizeh, you could say as far in the Taz and Beis Yosef. They let him walk outside. It's all pachas mikashir because it's a psikresha lechatchilah. So according to like Tosfos is saying over here, in a matzav of Chatzi Shiur, everyone agrees psikresha lechatchilah is muttar as Aruch. Have a great day.